Hi, I wanted to show off this Google Doc that I created about blended learning. Hopefully this will help some of you understand what it is not, what it looks like in the classroom, um, how it affects student outcomes, a few things like that. So I'm just going to talk about a few of the resources I found and then how I am actually, my classroom operates kind of on a blended learning environment already. So, just some of the things that I've been doing. Um, so, our first resource that I found was the uh, University of Central Florida has a great little website, and it has um, this toolkit that helps you understanding the elements of blended learning, what it is not, a little toolkit background. You've got some definitions and some resources that you can go to. So, effective practices, definitely a lot here that you could use. But basically, why I was using it was to show you a good definition that I found of what blended learning is. A proportion of the traditional face-to-face instruction is replaced by web-based online learning. So it's kind of like a half and half of share kind of thing. Um, this is a video that goes into basically the basics of blended learning, gives you a little visual aid, um, but you can find that on YouTube. This infographic covers a lot, and what I thought was really stands out is the quote by 2019 50% of all high school courses will be delivered online. If you think about it, more and more as professionals, as college students, we are taking more classes online. This course um, is a perfect example of it. With our lives and with everything that goes on, it is easier, it is more practical for us to do things online instead of in a traditional classroom setting. Listening to lectures that really we probably don't even listen to if we're there. So I thought that was interesting to see. And the matrix is kind of interesting to look at as well. So there's that resource. So what blended learning is not? So I like this because this article actually goes through some of the misconceptions or the myths about blended learning. Um, and I mean, it was just put out in 2006, so it's current enough to um, really look at. And the number one myth is so true. I have a lot of parents who are asked, well, if my kid is only on the computer, what else are they doing? Well, the students are not just on the computer. They don't work in isolation. They do a lot of group activities. Um, they might look like they are just on the computer, but while they are on the computer, they might be all of them in a small group on the same Google document creating a tool or creating a product to show to the class and to convey what they've learned. So they're definitely not working in isolation. Um, I also I don't like the myth of online learning is only for gifted students or credit recovery because that's just untrue. I mean, it's not. Um, all kids can benefit from online learning, and they love it. They really do. Um, they love using technology. And if you can show kids more tools, like the moment I learned how to use Cast Screen-O-Matic, I went into my class and I showed the kids how to use it. So they're going to be using it for some of their Genius Hour projects. When I learned how to do Powtoons, and I did one and I used it with my kids, I went in the classroom and I showed them how to use it. And like this is a Powtoon right here. And they loved it. And they want me to do more with Powtoons. And I told them, I was like, well, I want them to do more with Powtoons. So again, some of them are going to be using it for their Genius Hour projects and adding an aspect of that. So what does it look like in the classroom? Basically, what it reminds me of is more like your old school centers. So you can have groups doing different things. You can have kids working individually. Then you can have groups of kids working on the same project. Then you can have a student group that is working with the teacher, a small group that's working with the teacher. It really varies because there's so much you can do. It's not one thing and it's not one way to do it. There's multiple ways that you can have it going. And again, it's not always with technology. I love this video because it talks about if there is a face-to-face kind of activity that does not use technology but is really good and the kids enjoy it and the kids get a lot out of it, you can still do that activity and then other students can be doing other things with technology. So I like that. And we kind of do that in our class where we love simulations. And most all the simulations that we do not involve technology. It's about them and role playing and acting out things. And I mean, that's just the stuff that kids still love to do. So you can't really cut that out. So we just incorporate it in with, we have our downtime and then we have our technology time. So 6 blended learning techniques to reach peak performance and skill up. I thought this was really interesting. Basically laid it all out in a great, understandable way. So take a look at this. I love how they talk about role playing because that's a lot of my kids. I mean, I teach at a visual arts school, so I mean, my kids love doing that stuff. So, how will blended learning affect student outcomes? This article talks about how it improves their learning. Basically, it allows the teacher to differentiate, and therefore, by doing differentiation, the students are able to improve. And you're basically meeting more of the student's needs than just I love the embedded formative assessments. If you've ever used Nearpod, whether you've used the ones that have already been created or you create your own, really embedding some of that formative assessment is so simple. And it scores it, and it's just really, really easy for the teacher to look at that data and then go back to the students that need help. And that can be right away. Like, I can get an assessment, I can do the assessment in the Nearpod in class. I can review it overnight and I can adjust what they are doing individually, what they're doing the next day to really compensate for any deficiencies in what they are understanding. This video covers a lot of those benefits that I just talked about. It's a really good tool and some information. Okay, why do teachers love blended learning? This is the cutest little video, so I really suggest everybody watching it. It really hits the points, and these kids are in the video are really getting a great educational experience from the classrooms. So please watch that. And again, benefits of blended learning, the time flexibility, more one-on-one with the teacher, 24/7 access. You know your kids don't go to bed. They sit up all night on their phones and their devices. And I will say more and more of my kids are accessing educational information when they are on their devices now. A couple parents were like, they told me stories about how they got on their kids for being on their cell phones and being on their devices, and then their kids are like, but I'm doing my work, and the parents are like shocked, but it was true. And instead of playing on social media and games and whatnot, the kids are actually learning, and not in the classroom but outside the classroom. So that's pretty cool too. And that comes back to the heightened student responsibility. I mean, they're being held accountable for their learning. They're using their time wisely. So, hey, even better. And that is our presentation on blended learning. I love it. I hope I get to keep the technology in my room so I never have to give it up. Let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. But thanks for watching.